It's been almost 2 years since the rocket started flying. And now, what? Should we lie down in the cold ground and close the business? That's not my approach, and I don't think it's yours either. Therefore, I propose to understand the main problems of sales during the war and how to increase them. And let's start with the question of why it has become more difficult to sell within the country. Now, put yourself in the client's shoes. They have a new objection. It's not the right time. But you reinforce it by trying to offer the product again and again. Let's try to bypass it. And the classic handling, for example, it's expensive or not the right time. What are you comparing it to? Do you understand that this is an investment and it will pay off? This won't work. The client compares it to life before the war. He doesn't really believe in the next day and consequently in the return on investment. Therefore, the approach needs to be different. For example, what would it take for you not to buy now, but at least consider it? And this is not to ask directly, but to lead the client to this thought. Now ask yourself, what should be in the offer to make it interesting for the client right now? Especially if it is B2B sales and a small check for development or for the installation of expensive equipment. Tomorrow a missile might hit, and that's it. If the client starts thinking about the offer, they will see that there is an option to do nothing or an option to develop and not stand still. It results in buying. Therefore, we continue the game that I constantly talk about on this channel. You need to make the client want to buy on their own, despite all the risks. Moreover, there may be even more and different objections, but you already know them. Build communication by already considering your client's risks. War is a radical change, so changes in business must also be radical, logical. If it's not the relocation of the business abroad, then it could be an investment in relationships, in trust, and stopping everything you are doing that doesn't increase sales. But ask yourself what you can do to be trusted even more, and stop banging on closed doors. And I don't mean personal brand, product, or packaging. What can you do in negotiations to be more trusted? Do you want to know what I do and what my clients do? I will share from my experience what I have implemented with my clients, where it works and where it does not. I have a great client. It is a detailing studio. I implemented scripts with questions in their sales department even before the war, and almost immediately increased the number of successful deals by 60% and the average check by 30%. Such a simple and obvious action for me, but what is the result? The owner is satisfied. Then the war began. Everything fell apart again. Of course, wrapping a car with protective film against stones doesn't make much sense when you need to protect yourself and your family from missiles. But we started working. I took their client base and just started bombarding. Even the owner got involved. We handled it all together. The main objection was, thank you. I don't really need this right now, maybe later. And my main point is that you need to do your job and do it well. If your business involves convincing a client who has doubts, then nothing has fundamentally changed. Just another doubt that needs to be anticipated or addressed. For example, imagine you are the client. Now I will do a simulation. I will be the film seller. Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon, says the client. This is Serhi from the detailing studio. I'm calling you because 2 years ago you had a polishing done with us. Do you remember? And the client is like, well, yes, I remember. Yes, I continue as a salesperson. And I remember that you had a scratch on the bumper and you said you wanted to polish the headlight. And maybe you're wondering why I'm calling you now. And the client was like, what? I said, yes, you mentioned that you wanted to polish the headlight and now a lot of time has passed. How is your car now? And here are two options. The client will say, it's inconvenient for me right now, or if this question interests them, like you ask yourself, why am I calling now? It hits a certain emotion, and the client stops. This is a technique. Once again, this is Serhi calling you because 2 years ago you had polishing done at our detailing studio, and you might be wondering why I am calling you now. It's a strange question, but it stops the client. And of course, the objection, not now, it's inconvenient for me, reduces their hostility. And then I continue. How do you like your car? I remember your Volkswagen. It's that gray color, right? And what if it was like that? And I have a comment in the CRM system, and I saw that it was gray. You, as a client, wouldn't be able to say what's wrong, and you would say, yes, this is already the third or fourth yes. I continue further. Many of our clients now bring their cars to us to protect them from stone scratches with a film. And maybe it's winter now, and maybe you want to postpone this until spring. So what did I do? I state the offer and immediately address the client's objection. The client won't have many chances to disagree because they will say, well, yes, not now, well, yes, later. So it's a kind of pre-warning. And I continue, for example, to talk about another service and say, of course, over the past 2 years when they haven't been coming to us, some of our clients have been reaching out to get a dry cleaning. And I assume that since you haven't reached out, everything is fine with you. Correct? And of course, from experience, I can tell you that by the fourth or fifth agreement, the client starts not to object, but to share even more about their situation. And here, there are two options. He is really not interested, or the ice has already melted, and we start talking to him further. Of course, the conversion rate for calls based on the database can be 5, 10, or 15% in a successful year. So, this technique that I am showing works in about 1 out of 10 cases, and the client buys. And of course, if you have 2,000 clients in your database, then 200 might buy. But if you don't use such techniques, don't break the ice, then clients won't buy anything, and the conversion rate for the database will be just 1%, and simply no one will do it and they will burn out. So, of course, there won't be 100% conversion. Do you hear how these questions work? Definitely better than, wouldn't you like a film on your car? No, I wouldn't. Therefore, we do our job even better, and there will be money in the cash register. Let me share another example. A video production company approached me. The guys shoot commercials for large companies in the enterprise segment. They say that before the war, people bought much more. And what should we do now? They asked. We stopped aggressively selling videos and started creating creative ideas for free and knocking on doors. With these ideas, it turned out that their clients are not looking for money for advertising. They are looking for ideas for this advertisement during the war. For what purpose? What do you think? Increase sales. We slightly changed the lead generation structure, but not the video production sales themselves. And how about you? Every case is unique, and I'm ready to help you with it. But for starters, at least write me the word Tesla, Telegram, or Instagram. I will develop an idea for you and show it in action, live. So, how to grow during the war. Change the points of effort. And everything else remains the same. Adjust the work of the salespeople, analyze, manage, and improve the qualifications of the staff. Before the war, during the war, and after the war, the methods of growth are identical. Imagine that before the war, you were tasked with expanding abroad online. What's the difference? There is none. The question is how well you can handle objections, create hypotheses, or even better, anticipate your client's objections. Whether in Ukraine or abroad, a new client will say the same thing. I'm not interested. I don't need it. I already have it, unless you have broken the ice or built trust. I am grateful to you for watching, but that is not enough. I want each of you to achieve great results in sales during the war and when it ends. We hope it will be soon. But despite this, don't give up and start learning, strengthening yourself and your team with new techniques. Let there be sales.